The grand assembly hall floated in the darkness of space like a jewel made of light. It circled the neutral world of Thyros Prime. And inside its massive chambers, 4,000 species had gathered. They came from every corner of the galaxy. Some had scales. Some had wings. Some were made of pure energy. Some looked like nightmares given form. But today they all agreed on one thing. Humanity had to be destroyed. High Chancellor Vorthax stood at the center of the chamber. He was ancient beyond measure, a being of shadow and cold fire who had ruled the Valethian hegemony for 600,000 years. His voice echoed through the hall like thunder rolling across mountains. "The evidence is clear," he said. "The humans have broken 17 sacred treaties. They have colonized worlds we declared forbidden. They have refused to pay tribute to their betters. And worst of all, his voice grew sharp with anger. They have stolen property from council members. They have freed slaves." A rumble of outrage swept through the assembly. The Krathvex, a species of tall insectoids who had built their empire on the backs of conquered peoples, clicked their mandibles in fury. The Void Singers, beings of pure sound who had enslaved entire star systems, hummed with deadly intent. "They have been part of our galaxy for only 200 years. Vorax continued. 200 years since they crawled out of their little corner of space, and already they believe they can challenge the order we have maintained for 12 million years. He raised one hand made of shadow. A call for a vote. Total war against the human species. Complete destruction. Let them serve as an example to any who would challenge the Council's rule." The vote was unanimous. 4,000 species. Not a single voice of opposition. The Council mobilized the combined fleet. 12,000 warships from 60 different species gathered at the edge of human space. It was the largest military force assembled in 3 million years. Battleships the size of small moons, carriers that held thousands of fighters, weapons that could crack planets in half to deliver the declaration of war. They chose Ambassador Krelvath. She was perfect for the job. In her long life, she had watched 400 species go extinct. She had delivered death sentences to civilizations that had existed for millions of years. She knew how to break the spirit of lesser beings. She materialized in the United Earth Assembly building in Geneva on a cold morning in March. The building was modest by galactic standards. Simple stone and glass, no floating platforms, no gravity defiance, just a room full of humans in plain clothes. Krelth towered over them. Her body was made of crystallized light, beautiful and terrible. She had expected them to fall to their knees, to beg, to weep. Instead, they just looked at her with curiosity. "I am Ambassador Krelvath," she announced. "I speak for the Galactic Council. I carry a declaration of total war against the human species." She projected the document into the air. It listed every crime humanity had committed, every treaty they had broken, every punishment they would face. Secretary General Maria Santos was a small woman with gray hair and tired eyes. She had been a doctor before becoming a politician. She had spent her life saving lives, not taking them. She read the declaration carefully, her face showing no emotion. Then she passed it to her defense minister, a tall man named James Okonkwo. He read it too. Then the science advisor. Then the fleet admiral. A long silence filled the room. Krelvath waited for the terror to set in, for the humans to realize they faced the full might of the galaxy, for them to understand that they were about to die. Secretary General Santos looked up at her. Is this seriously all of them?" Kvath did not understand the question. "I do not follow the fleet," Santos said. 12,000 ships, 60 species. Is this the full military strength of the Council? "It is the largest force ever assembled," Krelvath said proudly. "The combined might of the galaxy stands against you. No species has ever faced such power and survived." Santos exchanged a look with her defense minister. Something passed between them, something Krelth could not read. Then Santos did something impossible. She smiled. It was not a smile of madness. It was not the desperate grin of someone facing death. It was the tired, almost disappointed smile of someone who had expected more. "We had hoped it would not come to this," Santos said softly. We really did. We tried to follow your rules. We tried to fit into your galaxy, but then we saw what you do to the weak. We saw the slave pens of Croth Prime. We heard the screams from the mining worlds. We counted the species you have erased from existence because they dared to be different. She stood up from her chair. Despite being small, despite being human, despite facing the might of 4,000 species, she did not look afraid. You want to know why we freed those slaves? Because it was right. You want to know why we broke your treaties? Because your treaties protect only the strong? You want to know why we will not bow to you? She stepped closer to Krelvath. Because we are human and we do not kneel. Krelvath felt something she had not felt in a million years. Uncertainty. You cannot win. She said, our intelligence says you have only 47 colony worlds, 800 combat vessels. Your weapons are primitive. Your species is young. You will be crushed in 6 months. Santos Lauged. It was a genuine laugh, full of dark humor. Your intelligence, she said, is very, very wrong. She turned to her defense minister. James, signal the fleet. Tell Admiral Chun to begin Operation Open Hand. It's time to show them what we've been hiding. Then she looked back at Krelvath. Ambassador, please deliver a message to your council. Tell them we accept their declaration of war. Tell them we did not want this. Tell them we offered peace and they chose violence. Her eyes grew cold. And tell them this. We have walked through fire before. We have faced extinction before. We have fought enemies who wanted to wipe us from existence. And we are still here. Your 12,000 ships, your 60 species, your weapons that crack planets. She leaned forward and her voice dropped to almost a whisper. Is that all you've got? Krelvath returned to the council with the human response. She stood before the Grand Assembly and repeated the words exactly as Santos had spoken them. The chamber erupted in laughter. The Croth Vex found it especially funny. A species that had only discovered fire 50,000 years ago, threatening the masters of the galaxy. The humans were clearly insane. High Chancellor Vorax silenced the laughter with a wave of his hand. Let them have their brave words, he said. In 6 months, Earth will be ash, and humanity will be a forgotten footnote in history. Begin the invasion. The combined fleet moved toward human space. 12,000 ships, the greatest military force in 3 million years. None of them understood what they were walking into. None of them knew that somewhere in the darkness, Admiral Chenny Lin stood on the bridge of the US Thermopylae, watching them come. Behind her waited not 800 ships, but 15,000, hidden in asteroid fields, concealed inside gas giants, built in secret for this very day. She was an old woman with silver hair and scars on her hands from wars fought long ago. She had buried friends. She had held dying soldiers. She had seen what war really cost. But she had also seen the slave worlds, the mass graves, the species erased from existence for daring to be free. They think this is a war, she said quietly to her crew. They do not understand. For them, war is a tool, something they use to get what they want. For us, she smiled grimly. For us, war is what we are. Now, let us show them why the universe learned to fear the dark. The first human ships began to move, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Galactic Council had studied humanity for 200 years. They had sent spies. They had captured human ships. They had read human books and watched human broadcasts. They believed they understood this young species. They were wrong about everything. In a secure room deep beneath the surface of Mars, Intelligence Director Yuki Tanaka stood before a wall of screens. Each screen showed Council ships moving toward human space. 12,000 vessels. An armada that could burn worlds. She was not afraid. She was calculating. They still don't know, she said to her team. After all this time, they still have no idea. The Council's intelligence on humanity was almost completely false. Not by accident, by design. From the moment humans discovered they were not alone in the universe, they had understood one terrible truth. The galaxy punished the strong. Any species that grew too powerful was crushed by the Council. Any civilization that threatened the established order was erased. So humanity had lied. They pretended to be weak. They showed the council only what they wanted them to see. 800 patrol boats disguised as their entire fleet. Primitive kinetic weapons that were actually last-generation cast-offs. Colony worlds that seemed to struggle. Years. They had sent spies. They had captured human ships. They had read human books and watched human broadcasts. They believed they understood this young species. They were wrong about everything. In a secure room deep beneath the surface of Mars, Intelligence Director Yuki Tanaka stood before a wall of screens. Each screen showed council ships moving toward human space. 12,000 vessels. An armada that could burn worlds. She was not afraid. She was calculating. They still don't know, she said to her team. After all this time, they still have no idea. The Council's intelligence on humanity was almost completely false. Not by accident, by design. From the moment humans discovered they were not alone in the universe, they had understood one terrible truth. The galaxy punished the strong. Any species that grew too powerful was crushed by the Council. Any civilization that threatened the established order was erased. So humanity had lied. They pretended to be weak. They showed the Council only what they wanted them to see. 800 patrol boats disguised as their entire fleet. Primitive kinetic weapons that were actually last-generation cast-offs. Colony worlds that seemed to struggle. While their real settlements were hidden in places no one would think to look, the real human civilization was invisible. In the asteroid belts of 100 star systems, massive shipyards worked day and night. They had been building for 150 years. Not 800 ships, but 15,000 warships designed by a species that expected everything to go wrong. Ships with triple backup systems. Ships that could keep fighting even when half destroyed. Ships that were ugly and brutal and absolutely deadly. The Council had never imagined such deception. They did not think that way. When you had ruled the galaxy for 12 million years, you did not expect insects to lie to you. But the deception was only part of what they had missed. They had also missed what humanity really was. Council species had evolved on gentle worlds, planets with stable climates and calm weather, worlds where life was easy and competition was low. They had become intelligent slowly, over hundreds of millions of years with plenty of time to develop. Earth was different. Earth was what galactic scientists would call a death world. A planet where everything was trying to kill you. The gravity was crushing by galactic standards. The atmosphere contained a corrosive gas called oxygen that would dissolve most alien life forms. The climate swung wildly between freezing and burning. The weather spawned massive storms that could level cities. And the life there, every creature on Earth was locked in an eternal war for survival. Predators hunted prey. Prey evolved defenses. Diseases swept through populations. Everything fought.